Hello and welcome to Sue Findlay Designs. Today's video was going to be on a new product that I'm trying out. Now, if you're familiar with my videos, you'll know that I normally prefer to use a product called decoration fillers. These are acrylic gems that are in the shape of a diamond, and they're in various sizes. Now these work, as you've seen in many of my videos, these work really well as texture items on the resin pieces, and these are my go-to ones. I normally buy these, but a lot of people have been telling me that they're finding them difficult to find in other parts of the world, so I'm looking for alternatives, or even trying to find these online that I can send links to people to get their own. But what I did find in Ikea is this crushed glass. Now it comes in, what size is this now? Where are we? It's 0.7 kilos, which is 1.54 pounds. So, and it's quite nice crushed glass. It's just let me open that up. There's one about. Now the glass is not, I can't really see, can't get in here, just move around here. So the glass is not really sharp or anything, but it's also got like a mirror on one side, so it's obviously like being a mirror at some point that's been crushed. So I thought I would give a piece a try with these. Now it's all sticking to my fingers, just bear with me a sec. Right, here we go. So anyway, I thought I would give them a try, but also I was trying out a new paste as well from Colour Obsession. So this one here is Stormy Seas. Now it looks black here, but it's actually a very, very dark blue. And I was using my usual go-to colour of teal, which is a metallic colour, and after adding some white I got some interesting effects, which you'll see in the video. So the piece I'm showing today is this one here. Now it started off with the Stormy Seas and the teal, and then I added the crushed glass, but I felt it was not there's not enough contrast in it, so I decided to add some white. And it was when I added the white that I discovered this created a really interesting effect. So where the white's added, can you see how it's interacted with the blue, and it's really brought out the blue in the dark areas. Now I didn't do anything with this is just done organically, so it created a really nice effect, which is giving me ideas for my next piece, just using the white and the blue. So I'm going to experiment with that to see how those come together. Now I don't know whether this effect happened because I added some mineral spirits to the white before adding it in there, so I need to try that out to see. But it definitely created a nice effect. So without further ado, let's get into the video on how I created this piece. Now the board I'm using is an unprimed masonite board, size 40 by 45 centimeters, and as I mentioned before, the colours I'm using are from Colour Obsession, which is Stormy Seas, teal and white. Now, like I say, I didn't prime the board, so it's just poured straight on there, and that's the glass that I'm going to use in the video. Now the only preparation I did for the board was to add some painter's tape to the back, just to make it easier to remove any resin drips when the piece is cured, but other than that nothing else was done to it. Now the only other product that I'm using is mineral turpentine. Now that was just to spray over to just try and get a bit of interaction between colours, and I've just put that in a handy little spray bottle for ease of use. So I've just mixed up the first colour, which is the Stormy Seas, the blue, and I'm just going to coat half the board in the blue and half the board in teal. Now initially I've just poured a small layer which I'm just going to spread about with the scraper tool that I have. I'm just going to work all the resin just to the edges. I'm not too concerned about it being a thick layer or anything at this stage. It's just literally just to give it a base for when we pour the colours on top. So it just means that it's dragged out to the edges and that all of the board is actually going to be covered. And once I know that the board is pretty much covered, I'm just adding more of the same colours on top just to give it just so that there's plenty of colour on top, so you're not seeing any of the masonite board shining through the colour. So I'm just making sure that that's thick enough to cover it, because as I've not primed it, I just want to make sure that that's not shining through. And then this is just where I'm adding the colours on top of each other just to add a little bit of interest when we come to move it. As always, using heat gun to just give the bubbles a zap. So just going all over that, and we'll do that periodically through the piece. Just any bubbles that I see rising to the top, we'll give a quick zap. Now you can use a blowtorch for this, but I tend to use my heat gun because it's always to hand and it's just easy for me to use. Now what I've done there is I've just using the mineral spirits, I've just given her a spritz. Now, I don't worry too much about dimples happening because I find that the mineral spirits evaporate and we still get a nice smooth finish on the resin once it's cured because the mineral spirits have evaporated. So I haven't tried any other products in this manner. I've not tried silicone or ever, and that may be something I'll try in the future. But here you can see I'm just using my fingers to move the resin around and create the desired effect that I'm after. I like using my fingers. I think that gives you more control and you get some really interesting effects when you use your fingers. And here I'm just going to go around the edges, just making sure that the resin's covered the sides. And because it's only a thin piece, it's about 3mm thick, you don't have to worry too much about it, but just making sure that that's nicely coated on the sides. Now normally before adding the gems, I normally leave the resin to cure for a good hour, just so that it hardens enough so that the gems sit on top. But for this I decided to try the glass as soon as I'd finished pouring the resin. With hindsight, because a lot of the glass did actually sink, that in future I think I'll leave it for an hour again just to make sure that the glass sits more on the top. You will get some that'll sink in, but predominantly it'll be on the top. So all I'm doing here is I'm just following the lines of where the blue is, because I mainly want the glass to sit in the blue rather than the green. So that's all I'm doing, and I'm just picking out elements that I want to highlight in the glass, and using a spoon, a little plastic spoon, makes it easier to apply, especially as the glass tends to stick to your fingers and get everywhere. Using a spoon makes it much easier to move and you can get the desired effect and shape that you're after. Once you're happy with the layer of glass, then it's on to the usual zapping of bubbles. So just go around checking any that have come to the surface and just give them a quick zap so that we can get rid of them to create a nice smooth finish. Now it was at this point that I realised that it was missing something. It didn't have the wow factor that I'm usually trying to achieve. So I decided to add some white to just give it more contrast. But I didn't want to add big blobs of white, so I'm using a stick to just drizzle some white on it. And I don't want the white to move too much, so there's not going to be a great deal of movement after I've put the white on. But what I'm doing is I'm just following the same sort of lines of where the stones are, and it gives it sort of like a lightning effect, which is quite nice, and I wasn't really know what I was going to be trying to achieve, because this was just an experiment, but definitely liked the effect that we were getting from this. And another quick zap of the bubbles, as per usual. Now it was at this point that I noticed that the white started interacting with the dark blue, and you can see at the edges on the top right hand side there that I'm starting to get some blue really coming through. So I decided to add a little bit more blue down to the bottom left corner and add some white, just to see if I could get the same sort of effect happening. And that grows quite a bit, so you start seeing, so the lightning effect that I was getting was enhanced by the fact that the blue was interacting with the white and creating a really nice effect. So I decided to add a bit more white, zap it a bit more, and as you can see, the blue coming off the white works really well. So this gives me ideas for future pieces. So while this video was supposed to be about the Ikea crushed glass, it ended up being about the white interacting with the blue, because this is what drew my eye. And if I'd studied the rest of it a bit better, I would have realised it needed some more glass. So with hindsight, I should have added more glass, but as you can see the effect, I think you'll find it quite effective. I hope you enjoyed this very quick and simple video, and I hope it inspires you to get creative. If you'd like to see more of my videos, please join me on Patreon, where for as little as $4 per month you can see this and all of my exclusive videos right in the comfort of your own home. As always, my social media links can be found in the description, and until next time, enjoy your day and I will see you soon. Bye for now, and thank you.